An old Monogram 1/24 scale 1970 Ford Mustang with a Boss 302 motor is the subject of our next complete build being done on YouTube. Note, we are doing this model to show some of the colors included in set number TCP 10102 1969 to 1971 Ford Mustang, which is due for release in late November 2022. Our intent is to paint the short block in Ford engine red, the exterior in grabber yellow with a grabber blue stripe on the hood, and a light gray interior. There are 5 sprues and a decal sheet supplied in this kit. Since it was a used kit, I noted some of the parts have already been cut off the sprues. The detail looks nice and there is quite a few chrome parts. Please note that as with most previous builds we have done for YouTube, we are not showing the parts being cut off the sprues and sanding them smooth for fit before cementing them. The first parts to glue together is the motor transmission halves. Note that I will be using Tamiya thin cement and Plastruck plastic weld to cement parts together in this section of the video. These liquid products are not really cements, but rather very strong solvents that soften the plastic at the seams so that the plastic fuses together. If sanding is required afterwards, you are only sanding plastic and not cement if CA was used instead. You will see no difference in paint adhesion with any of these products. Cement the cylinder heads to the motor. Please observe I am using a thicker brush for the application of the Tamiya thin cement, as I like to deliver more of the liquid to the seam than what is supplied with the small brush in the bottle. The inline carburetor sections are the next parts to cement together. Hold the parts tight to get a good bond. For the first time of building an automotive model, I am building the racing version of the motor, so the motor and the hood has special parts that must be used. A custom air filter is attached to the top of the carburetor. Note, it has the Ford name molded on the top. Put the assembly aside to dry. Now we are ready to spray paint a lot of parts and assemblies we have prepared. The first color is TCP 433 matte black on the underframe, radiator top, hoses, and the fan belt pulley pieces. As with all the previous videos, I am spraying the paint using a Vega 2000 airbrush fitted with a 0.3 millimeter or medium tip at 28 to 30 psi. A 1 ounce bottle of the matte black with a Badger adapter is used for the paint. Rotate and tilt the base to ensure complete coverage. Repeat the entire process for the other side of the parts. TCP 354 gloss galvanized steel is sprayed on the exhaust system, including 2 mufflers, shocks, carburetor, and the engine exhaust. Both sides of these parts are done with the same equipment and technique as shown previously. TCP-010 Gloss Black is now being sprayed on the rear axle and drive shaft, radiator, battery, fan, and the distributor cap. Again, the same technique and method is used on both sides. Our stock TCP-640 Ford Engine Red is designed to be hand applied, but I wanted to spray paint this color on all the parts. Thus, I added about 35% TCP-015 thinner to 65% of the TCP-640 in an empty 1-ounce bottle and mixed it for a few minutes. Now I can spray the mixture on the motor, water pump, and shocks on both sides from a paint cup attached to the Vega 2000 airbrush. Why the instructions call for the shocks to be painted red is beyond me, but I complied. Since I will be painting an accurate grabber yellow TCP 528 on the exterior of the model, and that the hood will have a grabber blue stripe painted on it, I chose to put TCP 256 light primer on the exterior of all the parts except the front and the rear spoilers, which were not ready for spraying. Rotate and tilt the parts to ensure complete coverage. TCP-603 Interior Light Gray, which has a matte finish, is sprayed with the same equipment and technique described throughout this video onto the interior of the model and the seats. Note that I am rotating and tilting the car interior and seats to get complete coverage, particularly on the back seats and the interior sides. Repeat this process for the back of the front seats. Now that the primer is dry, I am ready to spray TCP 528 Grabber Yellow onto the exterior parts. Note how easily it covers the light primer on all of these parts. Again, I am using the same technique and equipment as in all previous sections of this video. TCP-005 Gloss White is the last color to spray paint for right now. This is being sprayed on 2 very small parts. However, only one is for this build. The other is for a 1/72 Spitfire Mark 8. TCP-412 Matte Steel is being hand painted onto the transmission section of the motor assembly. Note that I am not disturbing the Ford Engine Red, which was sprayed on the entire assembly a few days ago. Paint the entire transmission part, being careful not to paint the motor. Use any brush you feel comfortable with. Clean up the brush with acetone when done. If you have any questions about techniques explored in this video, or general questions about this build, please post your questions in the comments section below.